Hello, I'm Paul Decker, and this is my review of Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'll be making some Shadow and Bone inspired recipes that I found off of her website after I finished the book. Thought it was really interesting that she had all these cool recipes. Both of the dishes are in the book itself, and I thought that was really interesting, so I thought I'd make it while I review. The first thing I'm making is a quail roasted in honey, except quail isn't that easy to find at your local grocer, so I will be using Cornish hen. Here are my Cornish hen. The recipe calls for 4, but I'm halving the recipe. Leigh Bardugo is the author of Shadow and Bone. She not only writes young adult books, but she's also a makeup artist, and she's in a band called Captain Automatic in Hollywood. I think it's really interesting that she has lots of different creative outlets. Here are our Cornish hens, and I'm going to rub them with olive oil, pepper, and salt. Shadow and Bone is about the nation of Ravka, which has been separated by the Shadow Fold. So it's a land of darkness that has all these monsters in it called Volcra. The protagonist of Shadow and Bone is an orphan cartographer in the king's army. Her name is Alina. Throughout the book, she finds out whether she possesses some magic that she didn't know she had, whether her best friend Mal and her have more than just best friend feelings between them, and whether she has feelings for the magical leader of the Grisha, the Darkling. So I really liked this book, Shadow and Bone. Thought it was an interesting high fantasy story. They combined an element of Russian history or Russian feeling to it. The architecture on the cover of the book has Russian castles, and those are in the book, and they have Russian clothing, and lots of the words sound really Russian. So I thought it was interesting the way that she took an existing culture and transformed it into her own thing for a fantasy novel. I'm putting in some olive oil, and now I need to get out the orange juice. And this is all for the rub that's going to go on my Cornish hen. So the main part of this recipe is honey. So here's the honey. Honey roasted quail in the book is served at their festival feasts. So it's a extravagant dish for the common folk. So one of my favorite parts about this book is the Grisha. And they're like a X-Men almost. They each have special abilities, and they have a separate army that the Darkling controls. And I liked that they were very much like the X-Men. So they have that mutant mentality, they're different, but in Shadow and Bone, they are seen as a good thing. They protect the nation, and they keep everyone safe. There are Grisha that can heal people. There are Grisha that can stop people's heartbeats. There are ones that can control the elements, and then there's some special unique ones. Like one of Alina's friends, she can change people's appearance slightly, but to make them more beautiful. I'm not a professional chef, and this is just me following a recipe. So I'm not quite sure if I'm supposed to actually cut all this thyme and put it in there, or that I'm supposed to take the leaves off. So we're just gonna cut all of it and see what happens. Okay, so now half of this mixture that I just created, I'm gonna put on these nice, lovely hens. Now these are gonna go in the oven at 500 for 10 minutes. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna make while those birds are in the oven is a butterweek almond cake. So Butterweek in the novel, Shadow and Bone, is a week that the Duke, who they lived in his house, he would make all these cakes and distribute them to the common people. So since they lived in the house, they helped make the cakes and distribute them. So we're going to make one of those almond cakes. The first thing I'll be adding is almond powder. Here's some sugar. One of my favorite things about this book was the characters. Usually in young adult books, the characters are pretty cookie cutter. They're good or they're bad, very black and white. But within this book, I found lots of great characters, and those are, I love a book that has great characters that I don't know if this character is good, or I like this character, and then a few chapters later, I'm like, whoa, what did you do that for? So I like that aspect of this book. All the characters are very real. Some of my favorite characters in the book were the side characters. And I always like when a book has minor characters that have depth, and they're not just, oh, this is the character that is here to do this, and then you don't see them again until they have to do that same thing again. So I liked the minor characters. The Apparat I thought was really interesting. He's like a priest, and he's really creepy. And he's the priest for the king, and he's creepy, and I want to know what he does in the second book. I'm excited for that. So I chose Shadow and Bone to read because Amazon kept on pestering me to read it. And usually Amazon's pretty good with knowing what books I like, because I almost always order my books off of Amazon. And with the cover, looks amazing. So I decided to read the synopsis, thought it sounded cool, and I bought it, and I am glad that I bought it. I'm going to set to 350, so we're going to put this in for 35 minutes. As I eat my dinner of Shadow and Bone themed Cornish hen, I give Shadow and Bone a 5 out of 5. If you like high fantasy and young adult books, you should definitely pick it up. The world of Ravka is full of interesting people, and it's a very interesting world. That's good. The next book that I'm going to be reading is Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. If you liked this video, please like it down below. And also, push that subscribe button because I'll have more reviews coming your way. You can find my Twitter, my Goodreads, and my blog down there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.